Yes, hello. I am Mr. Yegon Leonard, and I will be taking you through computer networking. Welcome to our today's class. Now, as we are talking about a computer networking, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to define a computer networking, identify the components, and also describe the criteria for selecting a computer networking. Now, let us see the introduction by defining a computer networking. A computer networking is the connection of two or more computers. The connection of two or more computers. Now, app usually use a computer, and without a network, the computer A cannot communicate to the computer B. The thing which enables them to communicate supposed to be the network. So that is the reason we are connecting the two computers. And the purpose of connecting this computer are, we have number one being what? Being sharing resources. Examples of these resources are, we have the printers and the internet. So for a printer to print a certain document, you are supposed to share the resources, maybe through a laptop or a computer. They communicate through the network so that they can produce those documents to print the documents. Another one is the internet. For you to communicate through internet, for example, Facebook, we have also Twitter, email, and those other things. You're supposed to have the internet so that you can communicate with another person. Now, we have also the other purpose being what? Communication. So the reason of this computer networking is for communication. You can communicate using an email, you can communicate using a messaging, and also data sharing. You can share the data through computer networking. Now, another thing is centralized management. For example, we can have a management system. So this one, you can connect through a network so that a person can communicate to another person in another office using a network. You can communicate with him without moving from here to there. Now, let us see network components. When we talk about the network components, we have the devices and media used to form the network. The devices and media used to form a network. Examples of the network component, we have a computer, we have a server, and we have CGS, we have routers, we have network cables, and wireless access point. So these are the network components. For a network to be complete, you're supposed to have these computers, servers, switches, routers, network cables, and wireless access point. Now, let us move to the next part. We have the illustration of simple network. For example, you can have a personal computer. Here we have the computer. We can either connect two or more, but according to the illustration that I give it to you today is that you have a computer, you connect to the switch. Then after connecting to the switch, you connect to the router. Then after connecting to the router, you access the internet. So this one show how the devices are connected so that they can share the resources here. Let us move to the next part. In the next part, we shall see the criteria for selecting a network. Now, When I talk about this and the criteria for selecting a network, for example, you have decided to have a certain network. You're supposed to consider several things. For example, we have here another the criteria. The first one being a cost. For you to select an network, you're supposed to consider the cost. If you are able to access it or to obtain it, and for the cost, you can either decide which cost am I supposed to use it. For example, the budget. You're supposed to come up with a budget before installing a network. The budget which you are able to obtain or which you are able to accomplish. Now, here about also the cost. Let me just touch about this the cost. The cost, you are supposed to consider the budget and also the maintenance. The cost, if in case this network fail, you're supposed to be have the maintenance. If you are not able to maintain, there's no need for you to install it. You're supposed to install the network which you are able to maintain it and run it. Another thing is the number of users. When you talk about the number of users, when you are installing a network, you're supposed to consider the number of users. For example, you have to several users. Let me just talk about an institution. So you cannot install a network which is being used by few people, yet the institution has several people to use it. It will slow the network. Another one is distant cover. So the network you're supposed to install, you're supposed to consider a distance whereby this network will cover. You are supposed to install it whereby when you install it, it will cover a distance which you edit, which you have plan it. Also, we have a speed requirement. When you are installing a network, you're supposed to consider the speed requirement. Otherwise, let us see the summary of our today lesson. Today, we have learned about networking, connect computers. And networking connect what computer. Now, have you ever, maybe you have the gadgets we are using now for today's class? For you to access this class, I know that you have obtained a certain network so that you can be able to access and use your gadgets. So there's a network. You're supposed to connect so that you can access it. Now we have the components make the network work. So the components make the network work. And the examples of these components, how we talk about computer. When we go back to our, let me just take you to back. These components which are displayed here is that the computer, the server, switches, routers, network cables, and wireless access. So this one will enable you to connect to the internet. And finally, we have selection depend on the needs and the resources. So for you to select a certain network, it depends on your needs and the resources which are available. Now, up to that far, have you have understood it very well about the computer networking? If there is any question, you can raise up your hand so that we can if you have any question, I can answer it. Is there any question? Yes. Okay. I can see there is no question. Allow me, we conclude our today lesson until we meet in the next time. Goodbye.